Hello, thank you for being here. My name is Chrissy Hodges, and I appreciate you coming to my channel to learn more about OCD, particularly pure OCD, which is the community name for individuals who suffer with intrusive thoughts and mental rituals. I am the author of Pure OCD, yay! And I also am a certified peer support specialist here in the state of Colorado, helping to support people around the world by providing peer support as well as referral consultations to help you find therapists who can help with OCD. And I'm also the co-founder of OCD Peers, right back here at OCDpeers.com. We run groups almost every single day to support individuals with OCD. They're theme-based, they're all-around-based, they're anxiety-based, whatever you need to support you on your journey through OCD. Also, if you're in the States and you're looking for therapy, NOCD, which we usually refer to as NoCD, is an app you can download for free. It has a community. You can get on there and get support from other members as well, but they also do provide therapy in all 50 states. Go to treatmyocd.com or check down in my description and you'll see a link that you can click on and sign up for an assessment. So today I wanted to talk about the OCD fear and intrusive thoughts around psychosis. And sometimes people will say the fear of having schizophrenia. Now, I'm going to preface this and I want you to listen. This has been something I've wanted to do some awareness around, but it's really hard, and I want to make sure that I'm expressing my 100% support for individuals who's experience psychosis and who live with schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder or any disorder that involves psychosis. When we talk about intrusive thoughts, we are talking about thoughts that come in that we are trying to find certainty and proof around. So sometimes when we have those thoughts, they can be things that are really, really taboo and terrifying, like harm or POCD, or religious intrusive thoughts that might go against our values and our beliefs. And those can be really scary, and we can identify those as scary, intrusive thoughts we don't want and that are taboo and are terrifying. Then sometimes we have intrusive thoughts that target things that may feel discriminatory, such as the fear of psychosis or the fear of having schizophrenia or the fear of having other mental health disorders that could lead to psychosis. I liken it very much to when you have intrusive thoughts about sexual orientation and you feel this secondary shame because maybe you have fears about intrusive thoughts about being gay, but you don't think being gay is wrong, or being trans, but you don't think being trans is wrong. And you feel like the thoughts are intrusive. And so then you all of a sudden feel like this secondary layer of shame around, oh my gosh, why am I fearing this even though I don't feel like it's wrong? The same thing happens around fears of diseases, cancer, AIDS, MS, things like that, where you might even know someone that has the disease and they're fighting it, or they fought it, or they live and manage it. And all of a sudden you are having intrusive thoughts about it. And it somehow makes you feel bad or wrong, that why would I have this when I know that it's an illness that I could get treatment for and I could be okay, and it feels like I'm being almost discriminatory against people that have it. This is when it gets really complex, when we have intrusive thoughts about topics that we don't necessarily deem wrong, but we have them anyway and we're trying to figure out. But therein lies what makes it OCD. It isn't as much, and I say this a lot when I'm talking to people about the sexual orientation theme, because there's all kinds under the umbrella of the different themes you can have under sexual orientation. But, we're not trying to say that one is bad and one is good and one is this and one is that. You are just having confusion because you're having intrusive thoughts about something that doesn't align with what your desires are. You don't necessarily have to have an opinion about what the intrusive thoughts are, but that often will get in the way in thinking that there's some reason why you're having it, and that can make you feel really bad and it can make you feel really ashamed. And I feel that way in talking about the fear of psychosis, schizophrenia, bipolar, other mental health disorders. And so I just want to make that really clear. In this video, I'm not saying that individuals who are living with these disorders are wrong or bad at all. I worked in Denver in the state institution with individuals who lived with these debilitating and the most stigmatized illnesses in this country. That would be schizophrenia. That would be bipolar. That would be any illness, borderline, any illness that involves psychosis. The most stigmatized people in this country. And I had my own views about that before I went in and did peer work. Came out from that job, complete worldview change. Some of the brightest, compassionate, warm, amazing, creative people I've ever met in my life. And so I just want to make it clear right now that talking about this topic has nothing to do with the community of individuals that live with these mental illnesses. What it is individuals who are having intrusive thoughts. It's not targeting the actual community. It's targeting the need for certainty about a specific theme they've latched onto. And I really just wanted to make that clear. So with that said, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about tonight how prevalent the fear of whether or not someone is experiencing or will experience psychosis can manifest in living with OCD. Okay, so this is a really, really common theme, but you don't see a lot about it out there. In fact, I tried to Google this to look at some blogs on it just to make sure that I was, communicating everything that I could about it. I like to just I couldn't find shit. I was like, what? And a lot of the reason why you might not be able to find it is for the reason that I just explained, is that it is so important that we are not throwing the community of individuals that experience psychosis under the bus in order to bring awareness for individuals with OCD who have the theme of psychosis. So that might be why, but I am going to talk about it tonight, and because I know that so many of you live with this, and I know that it's so tormenting. So yes, this fear can run the gamut of, you are living with OCD, and then it's very much like health issues. You all of a sudden read an article about someone with a brain tumor, or you may have a friend or family member or a friend that has AIDS, or MS, or lupus, or things like that, and all of a sudden you start to latch on to that disease and you start to feel like you're manifesting the symptoms. Okay, so then you're looking for it every day. You've develop full-on intrusive thoughts about whether or not you're getting this disease, or you can get this disease, or focusing on what you can do to not get the disease. There's no difference between that and focusing and latching onto different mental illnesses. So I would say probably the most that I see is schizophrenia. People who are having the theme of, am I going to develop schizophrenia? And again, it's more of this, I'm looking for reasons why I do have it. I'm looking for reasons why I don't have it. I'm going in looking, trying to get diagnosed with it. I'm trying to explain to my psychiatrist, I think I have it and this is why, and not feeling satisfied when you don't get a diagnosis, worried that maybe the psychiatrist missed something, or, that you're in the first stages of developing it, whatever your brain's going to tell you to keep you completely stuck in this theme. Having intrusive thoughts about having bipolar disorder. So there you might focus on your moods. And again, like having intrusive thoughts about having depression, which can also lead to intrusive thoughts about whether or not you're suicidal. Having intrusive thoughts about having a personality disorder. So you're constantly monitoring your behavior, your responses to things. So this is, again, no different than having a health intrusive thoughts. But let's just focus mainly on the intrusive thoughts about having psychosis. So this can manifest in so many different ways. And a lot of times it's almost like the first step in like a full-on intrusive thought thing. So It is, there's a lot of myths, number one. I'm just going to say that. There's a lot of myths about having psychosis and about having schizophrenia. Unfortunately, we are just not there yet in busting down the stigma about what it is like to actually live with psychosis. We still have the stupid myths that if you experience psychosis, you're dangerous. And if you experience, you can't be trusted. All that bullshit, by the way, that is not true. But unfortunately, because that is something that we are fed as a society, because the media doesn't want to get things right, we then, if you stumble across this theme, you may read articles about people who, may have done horrific things, and then all of a sudden it's attributed to mental illness or major mental illness or psychosis or something. They were out of their mind. These phrases that you hear that will sometimes support the idea of, oh my gosh, what if I lose my mind? What if I enter psychosis? What if I'm out of control and I don't know what I'm doing? What if I snap and something happens and then I do something and I can't control it? With OCD, we're so focused in on control, aren't we? And so when we can't, and that's why it manifests in so many ways that we're just hyper aware of things, or we're making sure that we're monitoring thoughts, or, we're doing these compulsions to make sure things don't come true. So the ultimate fear would be what? I'm going to snap and lose control, and I'm not going to be able to control what I do, and who knows what the outcome can be. That's terrifying, right? So it's fed a lot, first of all, by myths of the media about what psychosis is, about what having schizophrenia is as well. But sometimes it's just hard to let go of those things that you've heard or read, because as we know, most of us go directly to Google. I'm having a theme. I'm having this. What if this is going to happen? Let me Google it and find out. And you're going to find the worst of the worst. You're going to find all kinds of misinformation. You're going to find all kinds of things that are going to make you believe that something can happen or something is happening to you. So there's that layer. There's the first layer of, am I experiencing psychosis, or can I, or will I? And then the second layer is, what will happen when I experience, or if I experience that, and the loss of control. And I'm terrified of both. So what could, and I also, as you know, when you watch my videos, I'm going to talk about scenarios, but I'm not going to talk about all scenarios. So if you're here looking for like the little thing that you might do and I don't say it, that doesn't mean you don't. But it doesn't mean you do. I had to balance that out with non-reassurance. So a lot of times when people start to get the fear of am I experiencing psychosis, or am I going to, they typically will Google what it is like to have psychosis, which then will in turn trigger the shit out of you. So just don't do it. You probably already have if you're watching this. So you're going to start looking for auditory hallucinations, visual hallucinations, and then of course the physical part of this is going to be experiencing dissociation, derealization, depersonalization, all of the things that happen when we experience very heightened anxiety. These are physical symptoms that happen to people who live with mental health disorders, and we are not, we're not absent from that. And so what happens is when you experience dissociation, derealization, depersonalization, sure, you feel disconnected from your body. You feel like, you can't ground. You feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to black out. I don't know what's going on. I've missed time. But for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but when I dissociate, I get scared. Dissociation is scary. But I also know my brain is either protecting me from something, or I'm just in a heightened state at that point. Again, and my brain is just going, hey, we're going to check out for a minute. And then I think once I kind of finally come to, or I finally realize what's going on, that's when I use my CBT skills. How can I ground myself? How can I use all of my senses to ground myself back to what's going on? So touch, smell, visual, oh my God, like I'm not going to be able to say all the senses. Okay, taste and hearing. So I usually go directly for touch, and I go directly of looking for 5 things that are red. Hearing, I'll put some music on. I definitely need, I'll grab some ice, and put that in my hand, just in a way to be able to come back down, assess what was going on, and then manage the intrusive thoughts of what has just happened. Because of course they're going to come in and go, oh my gosh, you dissociated. What does that mean? What is that? What if you do it again? Blah, 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 blah. So these are some of the things. So you might start thinking that you're seeing things, or you may see things, or you may hear things, but then all of a sudden, when you do have the intrusive thoughts about psychosis, that you might all of a sudden attribute that to, oh my gosh, what does that mean? What is that? What do I need to do? I need to investigate it. I need to do this. And then it just goes down the rabbit hole. Again, as we know with OCD, when you start looking for things, you are going to find them probably, and not in the ways that you want to find them. So assessing, analyzing, looking for auditory and visual hallucinations, that becomes super compulsive. So then you're engaging and you're looking for things, and at that point you're probably going to see stuff, or you're probably going to hear stuff, and it's going to just trigger the intrusive thoughts even more. Now, people, I have some notes down here. So people are women and men both who are experiencing, or anyone who's experiencing postpartum. After having a baby, this is when things can get really amped up. Having a baby, for a lot of people is a really exciting event, right? And so after the birth, that's also a really big change in life. Whether it's positive or not, it's still a change. And so there is, a lot of people experience postpartum depression. A lot of people experience postpartum intrusive thoughts. This is when this can really, really creep in for both parents of the baby, because it is stressful. You are having a change in routine, and unfortunately, you come across those stories where it's so-and-so snapped and harmed their baby, so-and-so did this, and then you get caught in that loop of, what if I snap and something happens? What if I start to experience hallucinations or delusions, and I hurt my child? So then you Google, and then you read more, and it can just turn into a big disaster. It's really, really important to get the proper support when that is going on, whether that be peer support, get some group support, and get into therapy. It's really not uncommon. So I want you to know, if you are experiencing that, it is so common, because you're just so hyper-focused on making sure your baby is okay, making sure everything, nothing happens to the baby. So of course, this is a prime place where OCD can jump in and say, but what if you were the person that's going to do something to the child? So it's really, really important to get the proper support. So the last thing I really want to mention is with this, there's all kinds of ways that this can manifest. Just to kind of reiterate, the losing control is the biggest piece, I think, of this one. And the fear of not knowing that you're losing control. So when we look at psychosis, it's the, you have that, kind of the myths in your mind about what psychosis is and what it isn't, because again, stigma. And we think to ourselves, well, when I go in, if I go into psychosis, I'm not going to know it, and then I'm not going to know what's going to happen, and something bad might happen. And that just really does fuel the fire. But, the secondary piece of that is going to be what's going to happen if I do go into psychosis, and that I can't control it. Lots of times you'll hear people say, well, the difference between having OCD and experiencing psychosis is that we have insight, right? So you're going to hear that, and then you're going to get triggered by it. It's meant to be a way to help you with it, but it turns out to be like the biggest nemesis, because then you start to think to yourself, well, oh my gosh, I don't think I have insight. So it must not be OCD. Well, I will tell you what I usually tell most people who come to me and say that is, if you're even doubting whether you have insight, then you have insight. So my plea to you would be, the same as any other thing that you're going to see and hear on the internet or from other people about OCD that say, oh, this means you have OCD and this doesn't. We're always going to take those things, flip it, turn it upside down, rip it apart to try to figure out, well, I'm the one person that doesn't experience this. So the insight piece is going to you're probably going to get flipped on your head with it. And you're going to think, oh, well, now I don't have insight, so that must mean I am experiencing it. So yeah, the intrusive thoughts about psychosis can really, it can really be scary. But again, I just want to reiterate, these are just like any other intrusive thoughts that we have. We're merely just trying to find certainty whether we do or we don't, which again, there's never going to be any proof of that. I mean, I could, experience psychosis tomorrow. There's nothing I can do today to control that. And I'm not going to spend my day today worrying that I'm going to tomorrow until or unless it happens. The same way any other intrusive thought would happen. We exert a lot of time and energy worried and looking for clues that something is or something isn't, proof or disproof, when in reality, the goal is to make the thoughts irrelevant. And this one fits right in there too. With therapy, you can learn to manage these intrusive thoughts, and you can live a productive and peaceful life. So anyway, I just wanted to do a little bit of awareness around that. I also want you to know, if you're experiencing this, you are not alone. This is a really, really common theme. It can be very scary for people, and it can also be very stigmatizing to talk about, because lots of people don't want to say it out loud because they don't want to stigmatize the community of individuals who live with psychosis, and make them feel like they're discriminating in any way against them. So I appreciate you taking the time to listen. I hope this was helpful to you if you are experiencing this. And much love to the community of individuals out there who do live with psychosis, schizophrenia, yeah, thank you for being here. And if you're looking for therapy, if you're looking for peer support or referrals to therapists in your area, in your state, or your country, please reach out to me, ChrissyHodges.com. Come to our groups, OCDpeers.com. Yay! We run groups almost every day on different themes and kind of catch-all groups. And if you're looking for therapy here in the States, you can go to treatmyocd.com, or you can check out in the description below a link that you can click on and go straight to an assessment. Thanks so much for being here, and I just appreciate you, and I hope that you're having a good week, and I'll see you soon.